Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grooming with Humanery. I am Sid Baveja, the founder and CEO of Humanery, which is your destination for the finest and most premium men's grooming and self-care brands. One-stop shop. We help you with all your specific aesthetic concerns, things that you're looking for, stuff that makes you feel incredible. Basically, that's our mission, is to give you that feeling of magic. And today, actually, speaking of magic, we have with us Miles Wood-Smith, the Master Barber, creative director of Murdock London, which is a phenomenal brand and has been around actually for a while. So some of you might even have heard of it. But today we're going to talk about hair and beards and life with Miles. Miles, welcome to Grooming with Humanery.
Thank you so much, Sid. I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
Lovely. So Miles, tell us about how you got started in this trade of barbering, and why are you in love with hair?
What a great question to start with. So like, as with a lot of barbers, we're all a bit weird. Like, the industry kind of seems to attract the weird and wonderful of kind of guys and girls and everything in between. So I did my first haircut when I was about 16 years old, which is a long time ago.
And where was that?
Oh man, that was in like a garage or something, man. I learned barbering like from my stepdad's best friend. He was a hairdresser, and he had a Porsche, and I was like, I want a Porsche.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, I'll do this hairdressing thing. Turns out I don't think he got the Porsche through hairdressing. I haven't asked any further questions on that one. But then I started cutting hair like that, and then I actually went to university for a couple of years. And then me and the university came to a mutual agreement that I should leave, probably more the university. And then I was kind of stuck. I didn't know what to do. And there was this job going at Murdock London, which was the best barbershop in London. I thought there's no way, man. There's no way they'd take someone like me. And I actually sold my only thing I had, which was my PlayStation, to get like clippers and scissors that I thought were good enough to do an interview at Murdock. I went up, I did that interview 11 years ago, and I've been in that chair that I did the interview in. I've been in that chair for 11 years, man.
Wow. So tell us a few interesting stories that you have heard of, uncovered while cutting hair in that very special and holy chair now on Monmouth Street.
In terms of stories, I mean, my kind of, I guess my like best thing that ever happened to me with cutting hair was one of my musical kind of idols is Thom Yorke from Radiohead.
Yeah, Radiohead, of course, yeah.
And he came in and was like, oh, can someone do my beard or whatever? And I was on lunch, but they phoned me up and they were like, come back. So I'm just like shoving this sandwich down, gonna meet my hero. And I cut Thom Yorke's beard like 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
And just having conversations with him, and like, I mean, I was honest, man, like, because I'm doing his beard and I'm like this, right? So he's obviously like, what's going on? Yeah. So I said, man, I'm like such a, I'm like, I love Radiohead. Yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, thanks, man. And we were just having this conversation, and he's such a nice dude, and we were talking about horror films and music, and he brought his daughter in one time, and he said something like, I can't remember what he said, man. He was like, oh, is that TikTok? And she was like, oh, Dad. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, even Thom Yorke's daughter is like, it's still like a father-daughter thing, where she's like, it's so embarrassing. Like, but yeah, man, we've had millions of like, cool people come in, and people that do cool stuff, and it's it's awesome, man.
Yeah, nice. So what are some of the common questions that you get asked about hair? I mean, obviously I have a list of questions that I know that I have, but also a lot of our customers do. The first one starts with hair loss, but let me start with you telling us, what are some of the questions that you get asked about hair by your customers?
I think the main question is that I think we get asked a lot is, would that suit me?
Okay.
It's always, I think a lot of guys now, especially with brands like companies like yourself, right, that are promoting the idea that men's hair and men's grooming isn't like a secondary thought. It's actually quite important, and it's actually like, you should take some pride in it. You shouldn't just think, oh, it's fine, I'll just, you're allowed to actually care about that stuff, I think that a lot of guys have an idea of what they want, and they'll say, oh, would that suit me? And I think that's kind of where the magic of barbering comes in, right? Because no haircut is the same. I can tailor within reason. If you come in, you've got no hair and you want a Mohican, I'm going to struggle, man. But like, within reason, You know, we can tailor that, man. We can tailor it to your personality. We can tailor it to your job. We can tailor it to your head shape and all these kind of things. So that's one major one. And then another one is, I mean, it's going to lead on to what you're saying, which is, you know, am I losing my hair?
Yeah.
Which is such a common question, man. And I always do the same thing, right? Which is that my hairline has gone back massively since I was like 22.
Yeah.
But my hair is thick as hell, man. I'm not losing my hair. And the majority of guys that come in and think they are, they're not. It's a natural recession. It's always going to go back a little bit. Yeah. And there's products and there's hairstyles and there's ways around it. But I think people get so stressed about that, and I get it completely, man. I totally get it. It's a very like visceral emotion. I imagine if you're like, oh my God, my hair's gone, I've got to grow a massive beard now, you know, and commit to that lifestyle. So that's another one that we get asked a lot. And then it's always kind of like, you know, it's always product questions, man. It's like, what can I use that's going to make this look better, or make this stop itching, or make this shiny, make it not shiny, make it thicker. So a lot of them sort of questions as well.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And do you ever get asked questions about skincare? I mean, I know obviously they're coming to get, you know, basically a treatment on their hair or their beards, but skin is also another very important aspect. Did they ever talk to you about that?
In the barbershop, I think that culture hasn't quite got there yet, where guys are like, they're coming in for the hair, beard, and they're like, you know, oh, my skin as well. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to push that. We're trying to, we're trying to, we want to be, you know, a place for everything for guys. But barbering has got this, you know, it's second oldest trade in the world, right? So, and it's hair and it's beards and it's shaves. So we're trying to push that. But in terms of skincare, the main one that we always get asked is with shaving. It's obviously like you're post shaving, and you know, I get rashes, I get irritation, or my skin's really sensitive. And we've tried to use that as a kind of opening for us to talk more about just your everyday skincare, your moisturizers and all these kind of things. So we do get asked about that, but I'll be honest, man, it is in the shop, it is rarer for guys to ask, but we're trying to get them to talk about that stuff more, because we have products for all of those things.
And why do you think that is, Miles? Why do you think that it's rare, even though you're clearly invested and want that conversation to move forward?
I think it's because I can only talk from our point of view as a barbershop and as a barber brand. We've worked really hard to make sure that people know that the core of who we are is barbers, right? Like, I'm a barber. I do these things now. I'm the creative director and all this stuff. But I'm a barber, man. I cut hair for a living. That's what I love doing. I don't want to do anything else. And that's the core of the brand. We don't just stick a label on the bottle, man. Like, a lot goes into this stuff, and we sell it to our friends who are our customers, right? So it means a lot to us. So I think from our point of view, I think skincare is something that we're starting from kind of like level zero with that, right? Like with hair and beard, we start from a really high level because everyone knows, you know, we're the best barbershop in London. People are like, oh, of course they know hair and beard. With skin, you know, you're dealing with these massive companies, man, that are like, you know, they can just smash you with adverts about skin. And, you know, so we're trying to build up that for our customers that use our hair and beard stuff to also now trust us with the skincare.
Do you think there's also maybe some level of societal stigma or awkwardness for, especially for, you know, cishet male, you know, the men who identify as, you know, first of all, men, but have, you know, a known straight orientation? Are they basically like, I don't want to talk about this stuff because it's weird? Do you ever experience that?
Yeah, man, 100%. Like, I think.
How do you deal with that? How do you tell them, like, don't be like that? It's okay to talk about and to look after yourself.
I just use myself as an example, man. I'm a cishet male. I've got painted nails.
I want to talk about that too, but yes, carry on. Yeah.
Oh, mate. Well, these need to be done again, man. I'm just a bit skint, but they're so expensive getting nails done. But yeah, I just use myself as an example, man. Like, I think that stuff's changing. I mean, it's obvious it is changing, but I think there's people like us that are maybe you know, we're millennials. We were discussing earlier. We are technically millennials. And I think, like, it's a little bit easier, right? Because we grew up in a world that was constantly changing, and you know, societal norms were changing. But that older generation, that's, you know, a lot of them are like, you know, dude, like, it's they're not stuck in their ways. It's just that, like, that's how you grow up. That's how you grow up. Like, we grew up in a certain way, and that's why we are. That's why we are why we are, and they're not. So I think the way that I do it is I just say, look, man, there's nothing, there's nothing weird about looking after your skin, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. And I think
it's only the largest organ in your body. So like,
yeah, exactly. Companies like yours, I think, are a massive help because obviously I'm a fan. I mean, we'll talk about that later, I assume, but like I'm a massive fan of that. But what I love about what you guys do, what I think is so important, is getting away from this idea that everything has to be like, for men, it has to be like so aggressively gendered, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, face moisturizer, oh, I don't want that. And then it's like murder cream. And you're like, oh yeah, I'll use that. Like, what the hell, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we're not this stupid, man, surely.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think that you said it right. I mean, look, first of all, it's stuff that, you're investing in yourself, you're looking after yourself. How is that weird in any way? Like, shouldn't that be something you take pride in? I want to talk about these specific questions and also what you as a master barber, as someone who's got experience, who's seen things up close with lots and lots of guys. What should guys that are experiencing thinning hair and hair loss do to either slow down or reverse the process, but B, also to build a bit more confidence in their style with their hair?
So the first thing I would say is that the amount of times that I have guys come in the chair and they say, I've got thinning hair. And I say, you don't, you have fine hair. So there's a massive difference between thinning hair and fine hair. So I'll start with that.
Difference?
Right? So the difference is that fine hair is you've got a lot of hair. It's just that the strands are finer. So it looks a little bit, when it's a bit flat and it looks a bit, and if you put product in it, it kind of, it breaks it, like it breaks apart and you can see through it. That's very different to thin hair. So with that, you would use Murdock London sea salt spray. Stick it up. I always say this, like if it started thinning and you really, it's a real issue, go to a clinic, man. Go to a hair clinic. Take I can't remember what it's called now. It's called like Propecia or something, or these pills or whatever that you can take for it. That are really good. If it's a real issue. If it's like just something you're like, oh man, I wish I could just, you're not that bothered about it. There's a ton of products out there, right? There's shampoos for thickening your hair if it's thinning. There's a ton of ways of doing it.
So your advice is typically first actually understand your hair. Is it actually thinning or is it just fine hair?
Yeah.
And that gives you an indication of actually, is it solvable through products, which I know Murdock has a very incredible range of that can help with that, or if it's, hey, like there's a medical solution here that you should seek professional help. Is that right?
Yeah. And I think your barber is your best person for that. Obviously, I'm a bit biased in saying that, but I think the thing is that obviously if it's a barber you trust, someone you've been to for years, someone that's don't just go into a random barbershop and go, mate, is my hair thinning? Because they, some people have a financial motivation, incentive to say certain things. But the amount of times that I've had guys come in and go, Miles, like when's it time? And what they mean is, when's it time to buzz it off? And I've done, and I've done that many times. Yeah. And sometimes it's kind of an emotional thing, man, because this is someone that I know really well, and they're making this massive decision. And I can see sometimes with my clients, man, it affects them 100%. I could see it, like every time they come in, they're a little bit more kind of like they're sat in the chair and they don't look in the mirror as much as they used to a few years ago. And it's horrible to see. And then you buzz the hair off, or they get a hair transplant, and they're back.
Back, yes.
So it's amazing how much we tie our, I guess, like sometimes like our masculinity to our hair and our beard. And I don't necessarily think that's like a bad thing. I think whatever you want to do, but I think it's kind of an emotional thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is kind of where we come from at Humanery, is that we don't ever claim to sell good looks or better looks. That's a very subjective thing, looks. But what we're trying to get you to look at is the value in boosting your self-confidence. And that boost comes from better education, from knowing a lot more about what you can do if you have a specific concern, and getting access to those solutions, such as the ones that you guys have in Murdock London. But also then the idea that, hey, it's actually okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel like this. And if I take a step to solve that, the boost in self-confidence, or removing that, that invisible veil of self-doubt that, just the guys who have stopped looking in the mirror, but then suddenly they're back looking at it because they have this self-doubt. Removing that veil of self-doubt, man, that is priceless, right?
mate, literally, were like you could come work at Murdock, mate. I'll tell you, you'd have to take a big pay cut, though. Sid. Like I think, yeah, dude, that's exactly it, man. I think that's a culture we've tried to foster in our shop from the top to the bottom. You know, it's about being able to just admit that there's things that you don't like about yourself, and you can actually change it. You can actually change it. You know, it's not this impossible thing. You know, you don't have to just live with the hands you're dealt, and it's not even hard. It's like, you know, the amount of guys that come in and they're like, oh, dude, I don't use hair product because it just makes my hair sit flat. And I'm like, okay, and I spray some sea salt spray in, I blow dry, and they're like, oh my god. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's all you have to do was just say that. Just admit that. Just say that there's that thing you didn't like, and it's I mean, it's a battle, man. It's a battle to get guys to talk about that, and but it's definitely a worthy one. And I think we're in the same business. We're definitely in the same business.
Entirely love that. I really love that. And so let's switch gears a little bit to shaving and beards, because actually, you know, the truth is my first real like push to try and solve this problem and create this platform and, you know, have this incredible team that we have today, and then, you know, wonderful brand partners like you guys at Murdock, was starting with post-shave rash. Actually, I obviously suffered from, you know, this idea that I'm losing my hair and like I wanted to do something about it, no doubt. But post-shave rash for me was the hardest one to solve. I really didn't even know where to start. And I wish I'd met you back then.
What, on your neck?
On my neck.
Everywhere. Yeah, on your neck. Yeah.
First here. And you know, what would happen is if I was sitting in a meeting and I was feeling a bit of stress, or like I, you know, even if I'm sitting at my desk and feeling a bit like, you know, the times when you have anxiety and you feel a bit overwhelmed, first thing that would happen is this place would get flared up and I'd like start itching. And I used to feel so embarrassed. I used to get really upset. Like, why is this getting so, you know, so irritated? And I went into a few beauty halls, traditional beauty halls, and like, you know, bigger environments, big luxury department stores, because I felt actually the stuff that I was getting at the typical, you know, pharmacies, they will remain unnamed, was almost too mass. Like it wasn't working for me. Like I tried all those aftershave lotions and stuff, and I was like, actually my skin either feels oily or more irritated in some cases. And I'm like, how is this having the opposite impact of sleep? But then actually it was so challenging to find. But I wish I knew a bit more about that, much more than I know today. So, but if you can help our viewers and listeners understand
100%.
What causes it and how do you solve it?
Well, I think yeah, I mean that is like an issue that, I mean, that is like 99% of, you know, dudes that shave their neck, you know, it's an issue that they get. So one of the main things that's going to cause it is that for pretty much everyone, your hair growth flips. It flips. It can flip a little bit higher than the Adam's apple. It can flip around the Adam's apple, maybe a little bit lower, but it flips 180, and it starts growing.
Flip as in like it grows in the opposite direction?
Yeah. So if you look, right, so like if you were just to rub it, when guys have got stubble, if you rub your fingers down like that, right, you're going with the grain, so it's growing downwards.
Yeah.
Once you hit here, you'll start feeling stubble.
Yeah,
that's because it's going the other way.
Okay.
Now, I've got no idea why that happens, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But that is most guys. So what happens is when you shave, if you're shaving with the grain, you're very rarely going to get irritation. If you have very sensitive skin, you might still get a bit of irritation. But then obviously you don't get a super close shave. So then you would go across the grain like this to get a slightly closer shave.
Okay.
Right. Now that's going to get that hair that you don't get because your blade skips over it because you're going down. Now with here, a lot of people don't really shave upwards. They'll carry on shaving down. Now the problem is you're going against the grain. So you are snapping hair. Sometimes you're cutting it so deep that it goes underneath the skin, and that's what's going to cause that really bad irritation on your neck. Now, in terms of a way to kind of combat that is obviously you can have a look at your hair growth and go, okay, well, it grows up here, so I've got to shave up. But a lot of guys aren't going to be happy with still having this kind of grey 5 o'clock shadow, even after they've just shaved. So what I would say the main thing you want to do is you want to shave across the grain, across the grain to get as close as you can. The other thing that is going to help you with that is your pre-shave and your post-shave routine.
Okay.
So this is a little bit of an uphill battle that I have every day in the shop, man, with people, because I say, look, this is what you need to do, and they're like, mate, I haven't got time for that, man. I've got to go to work. I can't be shaving. You know, I can't take 20 minutes on a shave. And and I totally get it. So we have like an expedited version, like a speed version for like the people that are like out the door. So the main thing you want to do, especially to avoid irritation, there's two things, which is, well, three things. Let's say three things.
Okay.
Shave after a shower, which a lot of people do. The reason you're going to do that is because if your door's closed and you've got a nice hot shower, it's going to act almost like a hot towel for your skin. What a hot towel does is it softens the skin, but it softens the hair, which is honestly so important for shaving. Right. It seems like it would be like a small thing, like, oh, the hair's soft, brilliant. But it just means that your blade just doesn't have to work too hard to cut it off, which means it's not going to start dragging on the skin, which is a huge thing. The second thing you want to do is you want to use something before you shave and something after you shave. So before you shave, ideally use like a pre-shave oil. Okay. Now, that doesn't, I'm not saying you have to use the Murdock pre-shave oil. You can use, use any pre-shave oil you want to use. But what that does is it creates a cushion between the razor and the skin, so that
does the pre-shave oil need to have any specific ingredient for it to be more effective?
You basically want to look for, I mean, ideally you want to look for pre-shave oils that obviously have 100% natural oils, right? You don't want anything that's not 100% natural in there, just because it's a bit more concentrated, and it's basically just going to do what it says on the tin a little bit more. But yeah, it creates this cushion between the razor and the skin. Once you've shaved, then we get onto what you were talking about, which is your post-shave routine, right? Because razor burn and rashes just after you shave, super common. The main thing we could do to combat them is just get rid of them. Just get rid of them and calm the skin immediately. So by the time you're out the door, they're gone. And like you say, traditional like post-shave lotions and potions, and that Home Alone thing where he puts the stuff on, he starts screaming. I don't really understand how we've gone through decades of thinking that was good.
It's terrible.
People are like, this hurts, so it must be good. That is a rule of thumb for nothing, basically. So you don't want to be using stuff that's super scented and made to just like shock your skin into like retreating. And the other major thing that we really made sure was in our post-shave balm was the fact that it's super light. Because after you shave, your skin is in this really it's in a very vulnerable position. And a lot of these other products, it's like you're slapping on. It's like sun cream, mate. You're slapping all this stuff on, and that's not what you want. You want something that just gets absorbed super quick, cools and soothes the skin, and then you're out the door. So that's the main thing I would say, is that you look for something that has menthol in it. Look for something that has chamomile, or I guess like aloe vera, or just calming agents for the skin.
Agents,
calming agents. So shave. Don't shave against the grain, and use stuff that has like calming agents in it and cooling agents in it.
Gotcha. Now here's another question. You talked about pre-shave oil. Does that act as a replacement to typical shaving creams and foams and gels?
It doesn't have to. You can use it in conjunction with.
So you can do a shave oil first and then use a shaving cream on top?
That's what we do with our shave in our barbershop. So in our barbershop, we do a shave that's an hour long. All right.
Oh, it's I love that. Proper self-care, meditative experience.
Exactly. And I mean, I change into my shave voice. This is when I'm doing a shave, my voice comes down, and it's like it comes down a couple of octaves, and everyone knows that someone's having a shave. So we'll turn off the pump music and turn something a little bit more relaxing on. And it's a whole experience that people buy for their grandfathers and their fathers and their best men and grooms. It's really awesome, man. But when we do that, we use everything. So it's your hot towel, and then it'll be, we use a face scrub, we use a facial wash before that, then we wash all that, then it'll be hot towel with the like an exfoliating agent on, take that off, and then we will do a pre-shave oil to the area that's being shaved, and then we'll put a like proper thick, luxurious shaving cream on top of that, and it is a knife to butter.
Really? Honestly. And it's done with a badger brush in a bowl when you're doing.
Of course, man, it has to be. And we also have, as far as I know, I don't know anyone else that does it, but we have a vegan shaving brush now.
Yes, without the boar bristles.
Yes, and because boar bristles they're perfect. They're perfect for shaving. So it took us like 2 years to create this brush that is the same as our like really famous badger brush. So and then we pop that on, and then honestly, when you shave, it just makes our life so much easier, man. Like I'm literally just thickest stubble. I mean, I'm looking at your beard, and you look like you'd be a bloody nightmare to shave.
Really?
I'll tell you. Oh
sure.
yeah, you got the thickest beard. You got one of those proper God of War beards.
Yeah.
You know, that shaving, like, it's literally bang, 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 and it just comes off. And the thing is, the easier it is to shave, the less irritation you're going to get as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true.
so mixing them two things together is perfect. But the problem is that, obviously, again, you know, I don't want to ramble on about this forever, but a lot of guys don't have time for that, man. Let's be honest. You know, I'm a realist. 9 out of 10 guys aren't going to get up in the morning and be like, right, now I'll do my oil, now I'll do that. You know, something will happen. So what we created was a thing called daily shave gel.
Okay.
Which is perfect for yourself and me. So I shave my lines and I shave my neckline. Now I can't just use pre-shave oil because my skin's really sensitive, and it's not quite enough to stop me from getting irritation. I need something else. I'm not using shave cream because A, I don't have time in the morning, and B, I can't see. When I put shave cream on, I can't see where my line is.
Correct. It obviously covers the, that's true. Yeah.
Exactly. So we created daily shave gel, which is basically, it's a translucent blue gel. It has the properties of our shaving cream, the properties of our pre-shave oil. So it soothes the skin, it moisturizes it, so it keeps it in the perfect condition to be shaved, but you can see straight through it, man.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna have to try that. I haven't tried that.
Oh, mate. Well, we'll send you some for free, Sid, but you got to pay for it.
Lovely. I'm so fortunate. No, that sounds really cool. So actually, it's like a 2-in-1. Like, it makes your experience so much easier. Like, you get a barbershop experience at home.
Yes, exactly. But you can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like
smart.
It's got a lot of utility. It's got a lot of utility.
Really smart. That's really smart. I love that.
Yeah.
And how does one look after their razor?
Are you talking like a cutthroat razor?
No, because obviously, well, if you want, we can talk about a cutthroat razor. Yeah. But obviously, most men at home will have your typical, 3-blade, 4-blade. The brand name will remain unnamed, but typically you'll just have one with the cartridge that sits at the top of your razor. So how does one take care of that?
I mean, just obviously make sure you clean it, man, after every single shave. It's tough because those razors, they blunt, the blades blunt very, very quickly, and and obviously they're very famously expensive to obviously there's other options out there now, but it's mainly making sure you don't have any residual hair on the blades, and make sure obviously that you dry your razor after you're using it every time, so it doesn't get any bits of rust and stuff like that. But I mean, my main, honestly, and I say this a lot to people, is move to a safety razor. I think that a safety razor, you get it's obviously a lot cheaper. You can buy a pack of proper razor blades super cheap for a safety razor. It's a better shave. More blades does not mean a better shave, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if you're shaving against the grain like this, you got that 1, 2. With some of these razors, you've just shaved against the grain like 9 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, have fun with that, man. Like, that's a bad idea. So I would say move to a safety razor. Way easier to maintain, way easier to clean because they all come apart and you can clean it, and also a lot cheaper. So yeah, in terms of maintaining your razor, it's obviously make sure you clean it and make sure you dry it after every single shave.
Right. So it's actually worth investing in a stand that actually you can use the razor
like a drip tray.
But just actually like soaks off and lets dry.
And it looks cool.
Yeah. And I think it also it gives people a little bit of bathroom cabinet envy when they see this really beautiful shaving set. They come I have one, actually it's from a brand that we have on our platform called Bolin & Webb. And they have these like super sleek, sports car looking type things, and it sits on top like this. It's almost like an air, like as if it's floating, but it's obviously with a magnet. And my
whoa, that's cool, man.
They're like, why'd you got that? I'm like, because it's the easiest way to dry your razor, so it doesn't sit there, with the moisture just like getting it, rusty. In my blade,
it's got a magnet.
It's got a base, and then it's got a magnet, and then it just floats. It looks really cool.
That is sick, man.
And
do you sell that?
Yeah, we sell it on our platform.
I'm buying that.
Oh, you should. Yeah, I'll send you a discount code. But honestly, my friends came looking at it. Look, that looks really cool. Is it actually that good? And I was like, actually, it has got great function. Yeah. And I'm glad you said, because actually one of my issues was back in the day when I knew nothing about shaving against the grain and the rituals of pre-shave and post-shave. I actually did try once using a safety razor. They call it like a single-edged razor back in the day.
Yeah.
And I would do that, right? I would like take it down like that. And I would hate it because I would get nicks and it would like hurt. I'd be like, what? But whereas with those more traditional ones, the truth is because they're such tiny blades and like, you know, if you do it slowly or lightly, like it'll cut the hair off, but it was less irritating. But now I realize it was because I was doing it all wrong.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the technique for shaving is like, it's so funny because, you know, when I first started at Murdock, I was like 20 years old, right? I was a kid, you know, I could barely grow a beard. And I found it really hard to talk to like older guys about shaving because they were like, mate, I've been shaving longer than you've been alive, you know?
Yeah.
And I get that. And like, you know, I was a bit cheeky when I was younger and I'll be like, that's fine. You know, you've been doing it wrong for longer, mate. That's all it is, you know? So like there, when you said, right, you were shaving, I looked at your left hand or whatever hand you were using. You were like, I shave like this. So straight away, you want to flip that hand and you want to go up here. So,
Right.
so whenever you stretch,
Yeah,
because that there,
yeah,
once you get to here, there's no tension.
yeah.
And that's when you're going to get nicks, right? If you go like that, always behind the blade, honestly, you will never nick yourself again. That's
Magical tip. That's such a great tip.
not a guarantee though. You can't sue me, but
Yeah,
like, bang, that is like your best. That's the best bit of advice.
oh, wow. Anyone watching this, take this advice. This is going to help you, even if it's not going to help you. Even we're not saying spend a lot of time shaving, but just these little practical tips will just improve the experience so much more.
100%.
Love that. Thanks for sharing that. It's amazing.
Hey, no worries, man.
So last question about products, beard oils.
Yes.
We get asked a lot about what does a beard oil do for me?
Yeah.
Or a beard wash. Like I wash my face. Like, what do you mean like beard wash?
Oh, mate, I could talk about this for days, man.
So tell us, what is the difference between face wash and beard wash, but also then why do men need beard oils and beard conditioners, beard moisturizers? So
again, perfect question, man. So that's one thing I always get asked in the shop. I say, dude, do you want some beard shampoo? And they think it's a scam. They're like, oh yeah, shampoo for my beard, right? So I've always found really odd because like, obviously your beard is located on your face, which is where your mouth is, which is where you eat. And the amount of guys that I've said like, have you ever shampooed your beard? And they're like, oh no, why would I shampoo my beard? And I'm like, how long have you had a beard? 2 years. I'm like, so you haven't cleaned your beard in 2 years. Imagine if you didn't wash your hair.
Yeah.
2 years. It's crazy. But so what we are, we do a service called a beard reshape with cutthroat in our barbershop. And in terms of the products that we use on that, we will use a beard shampoo, a beard conditioner, and then we will obviously use our daily shave gel to shave, and then we will use a post-shave balm and a beard moisturizer or a beard oil. So in terms of the difference between like a face wash and a beard wash, I would say it's probably better to compare a shampoo, hair shampoo, and a beard shampoo.
Okay.
And I think the best kind of representation of the difference between those two things is my hair and my beard are two completely different types of hair. So my family's from Brazil, so I'm Latino, and I have very, very tight curls on my beard. Really tight curls on my hair is incredibly straight.
Gotcha.
It's also a little bit coarser on my beard. That's number one. Number two is the pH balance is completely different.
Yeah, okay. Let's dig into that a bit. Let's double click on this pH balance concept.
Yeah, because the skin on my face is way more sensitive than the skin on my head. Way more sensitive. So if I was to use like Head and Shoulders on my beard, oh my god, I don't even want to know what would happen. It's a completely different thing. And I found with beard shampoo, it's one of those products. It's probably one of the biggest ones we have in the shop for just try it once, and then you're done. You will never, you will never stop doing it, because the first time people do it, the first time we shampoo their beard and they feel it and they go, oh my god, I just thought that was how my beard felt. It's not, dude. You just need to shampoo it. So that's the main thing with beard shampoo, is that your beard is completely different from the hair on your face, from the hair on your head. Sorry, the skin's different. You need to treat it differently. It's not a novelty product. It's something that's, you really need to use.
Real utility from it. Yeah.
Real utility. And then you look at beard conditioners, which is obviously what you would use afterwards, just like you would with your hair. It's very different. Again, our beard conditioner has ingredients in it like mallow extract and wheat germ that strengthen your beard hair. they keep it a little bit stronger, which is so important because I don't know about you, but I'm always going like this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's I think it's a very common thing for guys with beards. They're always playing with it, always like,
yeah, because it looks cool, right? You're like, oh,
yeah.
you know, you kind of feel like you feel pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then I get a lot of like breakage. Which is not, but when I condition my beard, I get way less breakage, man. So it just keeps your beard thicker as well. So again, completely different to a hair conditioner. But then back to your original question, which was like beard oil. So we have 3 beard products. We have a beard oil, we have a beard moisturizer, and we have a beard balm. Now, I know it's a lot to throw at people, and I totally get that. So my job is to basically try and explain the differences and the benefits of those things in a concise way that isn't too, talking about loads of stuff no one cares about. So the main one I'll say is that the difference between beard moisturizer and beard oil is this. Beard oil is shiny, all right? So it gives you a shine. You see those guys walk around with a shiny beard. That's a very individual taste, right? To have a shine on your beard. Yeah. So beard oil is shiny, and it's because it's an oil-based, it's an oil-formed product. It's going to penetrate the cuticle of your beard hair, and it's going to really soften it from inside the cuticle, basically.
Okay.
So it's very good for curly beards.
Gotcha.
So people like beards like mine. It's really good for curly beards. It's really good for kind of bigger beards as well, because if you use a decent amount of it, you can really work it through the beard very easily.
Yes.
But what beard oil is not going to do is it's not going to do anything, in my opinion, for itchiness or for your skin underneath the beard, which is incredibly important.
Yeah.
That's where beard moisturizer comes in. So beard moisturizer is our bestseller in the beard category. It's probably our bestseller in any category, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
It's a product that completely puts us on the map. What beard moisturizer does is it solves a problem very easily. That's all it is. And the problem was my beard itches. That's it. And then we also have a third one, which is beard balm, which is a little bit newer. And the reason we brought that out is because a lot of our customers were mixing oil and moisturizer so that they got the benefits of both, but they could style it.
Styling, yeah.
Which is something that I think is quite rare in beards, right? Is that when you get to a certain length, it's like, in between trims, you want it to look nice.
Yeah.
So we brought out beard balm, which is like, it feels almost like a moisturizer, but it's a styling product for your beard. So it basically keeps your beard looking nice and tight in between trims to the barber. And that's just taken off, man, massively. And it looks natural as well.
Wonderful. Well, Miles, look, we've come to the end of our episode today, and actually we've learned so much from you about men's hair, skin, beards, shaving. I really hope actually a lot of people get to watch this, because you've actually educated us on some very simple basics, and I cannot wait for our viewers and listeners to try out those Murdock London products. Now, for those who are actually watching and listening, the entire range is available at humanery.com. It is a very highly reviewed, actually, product range, one of our top selling brands. And I've used your products before. Cannot wait to try some of the other ones. You can use a one-time discount code podcast10 when you come and shop at humanery.com for Murdock London. And Miles, thanks again for being with us, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, man. This has been super helpful, and can't wait to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Love it. Thank you.
Cheers, man.